Hey everybody, welcome to another model building workshop. I'm Mr. Allen coming to you from Providence, Rhode Island on behalf of the Community Libraries of Providence, Smith Hill location. And today I'm going to do a bit of a grab bag. Recently I had done a video here on the T-34 series from Tamiya, and sure enough, buried in my collection there is the T-34-76 1943. Yeah, how I missed that, I don't know. Must have been tired after a long day. So here she is. Now I built this a really long time ago. And be careful because these crew members, for some reason, didn't glue them in, and they keep wanting to jump ship. So I'm going to take them out in just a second. As you can see, this is mostly steel wheels on it, because in 43, the Soviet Union was running a little low on rubber, so they got 42, 43, and then they began using all steel wheels to supplement the fact that they did not have enough rubber. So while that made a rather uncomfortable ride for the crew, hey, they got by. And in this case, this is the more common style. They had rubber tires on the, on the back here and on the front to try to even out the ride a little bit. But it's not uncommon to see them with all of these road wheels as solid steel, which would have made a noisy, lousy ride. But anyway, I'm going to take these guys out. I'll take one. This guy keeps trying to run away. So as I mentioned before, the pros and cons of the Tamiya kit here. The engine grills that are not really grills. You got to paint them to look like grills. It has issues with the tracks, so they don't look too bad on this one. It seems like they're tight enough that they don't present. Yeah, they're not that bad here, but they can look distorted because of the rubber band just looking kind of fake. But here, something about the spacing, it doesn't look terrible. And you can't really see the, I think I may have filled in the area that had the gap, because this was kind of meant originally to be a toy sort of version with a motor in it. So there was a gap here where the steel bar for the axle goes in. It looks like it's pretty well hidden, and it looks like I weathered the snot out of this thing. Probably have to cover up some gaps, because I know there can be a nasty gap here on the kit if you're not careful. So this has the trying to count my sides. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 hexagonal turret. Typical of the 43 version. It's got some white markings here. I think these are some of the ones we were looking at in the recent episode. You know what? I think it's right here, so I'm just going to grab it for point of reference. I know we were looking at this book here by Steve Zaloga at some of the different markings. I believe this one's in there. There's a lot of marking options that model companies have used over the years. It probably come from photos that you can find in that book. There's a lot of great photos that, the different tanks with the slogans and the translations to what the slogans mean. I think this one is for Stalin. That's what this one says. So I'll give you a close-up of the markings here. And this is in the summer 43 brown and green. Kursk tended to have vehicles in this color. And I know there's another recent episode where I showed you one in 1/72nd scale, which was similar. So here she is. So she does exist. And while we're at it, we're going to talk about another kit. We're going to do a 2-for-1 today. As I was digging through and found some interesting stuff, I found this little T-20, I think is a Komsomolets tractor here. This is a little tractor that towed Soviet artillery pieces, and you can see it's got the bench seats, quite literally, in the back for the crew or whoever they wanted to ferry. I mean, this could be used as a little transport vehicle to ferry around some troops. Little armored tractor, kind of like a Renault UE, or I wouldn't say a Bren carrier. This is kind of nicer than, that the Bren carrier is a nicer vehicle. This is a weird little tractor with a gun in case it needed it. I would think that the armor protection on this would be next to zero, and besides, the crew would have to sit outside anyway. They'd have to run for cover. So I believe this is an old AER model kit from the early 90s, which I tended to gravitate towards some of these kits like that came out of the Eastern Bloc in the 90s because, hey, new and weird stuff coming along you hadn't seen. I thought I'd try it. Now, arguably, this was not a good kit. This is a pretty miserable kit to build. It's typical of those early, Eastern Bloc model kits where the moldings weren't great. The fit was, yeah. I mean, it looks like it went together moderately okay. It's like link by link track or link and length. It's probably link by link by the. No, it's link and length, which managed to go on. Anyway, not the greatest, but with weathering, and I weathered the heck out of this one too. So this is just how I get by on a difficult model. I tend to overweather them to try to make them passable. So today's episode is, these are not my finest models, but I thought I'd show you a couple of oddballs, like this one. I mean, I shouldn't say that this is a good kit, actually. The Tamiya T-34s were kind of fun, and this had a lot of different possibilities, things you could do, different gas cans for the back, spare parts and things you could add on for gear, crew members, etc., etc. So there's a lot of things you could do with this kit. So this one wasn't bad, but it not my best model building job because I could see all of the mud and stuff. I used to hide things. Yes, must have been some sort of a seam issue here, as I mentioned. But hey, it's still a fun kit all these years later, especially for kids. This is pretty kid friendly because, even if you had an issue with a gap in the back, I don't think a kid's going to panic over that the way I did. So it's still a pretty fun kit to put together. Though I can't really say the same thing for the AER Komsomolets. I know Hobby Boss is putting out a version of this, which I'm sure is top notch, considering Hobby Boss makes some pretty good stuff. So I'm sure that they rectified any issues that this thing had. But hey, this was a different period of time when communism was falling and new opportunities are popping up in the East and new model kits are showing up. Some good, some bad. But memorable. All right. And I do remember this coming with a pile of decals for a whole million options of things, including, Finland if you wanted to do that. So, at least it had that. Okay. We will see you next time on the Model Building Workshop. Bye now.